Very good morning, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mawani and I want to welcome all of you to StudyIQ. I hope you all are doing good. Let's have a positive start. An ounce of performance is worth pounds of promises. Basically, if you are just, sounding sweet, your words are sweet, but your action is nil, then this is not going to help. Performance is the key. You have to deliver results, and this applies to all different spheres of our life. It's not just about studies. It works with everything. It is the performance that counts at the end of the day. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ provides pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams. To find out more, check out StudyIQ.com. Now, remember, we talked about this thing that this cases or fraud case and this willful, basically this PNB Nirav Modi case and this Rotomac case. Particularly during this PNB Nirav Modi case, when it was first reported as a news item, we talked about this thing that we will find editorials, and today I am saying you this thing that in near future we will find many articles on this thing, because the size of this scam, or you can say this wrong things that are going on with our banks, it is huge, right? It is huge. 11,500 crore rupees is not a small amount at all. And this PNB or Nirav Modi case is basically the core is a fraud that has taken place. And this Rotomac case, it is a case of willful loan default. With this Rotomac case, at present CBI has it has registered a case, and it is pertaining to this cheating, right? It is basically a case of cheating banks and siphoning their money. Now, you can say on upper level or on surface, it looks like both these cases are very different from each other. One is a fraud, the other one is a willful loan default. But you find some similarities, and the similarities are this breakdown in internal control mechanisms and in supervisory failure at the banks. This is, you can say, a common thread that you find in both these cases. Now take this Rotomac case, right? It is quite surprising, isn't it, that it took such a long time for this diversion of funds to surface as a criminal complaint. It took ages and ages. They used to use this money for, in fact, in this Punjab National Bank case as well, the money was used for importing jewelry and importing wheat and other things. So clearly this failure in this internal control mechanism and this supervisors, right? I don't know what they were doing, and it is altogether a different thing. You know that there are some individuals at bank level. When I say bank level, I mean to say this branch level. Of course, we have some people who have helped these people, this fraudsters and this defaulters. But this thing is very difficult to digest, that your supervisory cadre, your risk detection and management systems were not aware about this thing. It indicates that there is, this is just a tip of iceberg. There are many people, or there could be that someone has designed this system in this way, someone was aware about it, or if you have a cartel running these banks, we don't know. It will come out only if we have a thorough investigation on this thing. So this three-tier audit failed is something that is difficult to digest, and if it has genuinely failed, then what are the steps that we are taking to sort this thing out? And this, do you know that this Rotomac case, if you go on this BOB's website, then you find that this Rotomac case back in 2015, it was you find its name, this Rotomac company's name, on Bank of Baroda's website as a top defaulter, and no action was taken on this. So clearly RBI, normally we see that RBI is issuing its directives, and RBI applies this thing, right, to their promises and performance, this quote that we discussed today. So RBI has been promising that it is taking this and that steps, but we don't see any sort of performance from RBI when it comes to this rising NPA. Central government as well should take these things very seriously. And one thing is there, that if we want to change this current scenario, then we need to make our banks independent from this political interference, right? This is a theme, or you can say this is a bottom line that you will find in every editorial, right? I have read hundreds and hundreds of editorial on NPAs and other things, and I find this statement everywhere, and this is true as well, right? This is a big problem in our country, that we find this politicians, they are interfering with the decisions that are supposed to be taken by these managers of the bank. So this is something that we have to do, and the question is, big question is, what was RBI doing so far? So reiterate the importance of strengthening. It has been saying that the banks need to strengthen corporate governance in public sector banks, and it has promised to infuse greater professionalism and transparency and accountability, but results is something that we are missing here. With this, dear friends, this one is about, I'm sure we are all aware about this deadly shooting that killed 17 people, including 14 students in Parkland, Florida, America. And USA is a country, right? It is, you can say, obsessed with this weapons or guns. As you can see the line here, that 227-year-old lethal love affair with guns, and in the name of rights, or in the name of defending yourself, it is very easy. I mean, in American Constitution, it is a right as well to bear arms, and one of the main philosophy behind this using arms or keeping arms is that it is part of your right to defend yourself. And if you go back 227 years ago in USA, then it was altogether a different country. It was covered with grasslands and trees and whatever, and you used to have many animals, right? You can say deadly animals. So at that point of time, we can understand that having weapon is something, but today we are not living in that age. This is something that is not discussed, right? We are living in modern cities now, so you don't find this sort of animals from whom you need protection. Of course, if you are living in countryside, then there are other methods as well, but anyways, this is a part of the culture of USA, but it has worked against USA. You find 270 million guns, that is more than 112 per 100 people. So 100 people would have 112 guns in USA. So you can easily imagine, and this is not the first time we have seen this thing, right? 90 mass shooting has taken place from 1996 to 2012. So this has destroyed many families, and I can understand the pain. Remember Barack Obama? If you were following news a couple of years ago, then to be precise, back in 2012, Barack Obama was literally, imagine how sensitive this thing would have been, because the strongest person on this planet, normally we call that person the president of America, right? Because a president of the strongest nation in this planet. So if you are the president, then you are considered as the most powerful, right? And if you see the most powerful person crying on television, this is not a girly thing, right? And when I say girly thing, I'm not saying that only girls cry. It is natural for every one of us as human being that we cry, right? But normally we have this stereotype that only girls cry and it is a girly thing. No, it is not. It is about sensitivity. It is about how you feel about your citizens. And this was very sad incident that took place back in 2012, and this one as well. And remember, a couple of months ago, we saw this a person. He was up there in a on the top floor or somewhere on a very high position in a hotel, and he was shooting people from there. So this is something that you find in USA, and at present we must you can say appreciate this courage and bravery of these kids who have survived. They are on the street, they are doing things that the president of India, beg your pardon, president of USA cannot do. It is basically they are demonstrating against this gun thing, and there has been, it's what they are asking for is common sense, right? We need to apply common sense on guns. You can easily accessing guns and automatic guns, and this other heavy guns. I don't know the right names for this, semi-automatic or automatic, this sort of guns. From means you can take a position and you can spray bullets with the help of this latest gun. So in the hands of citizens, this is a big issue, right? This is what we see. And anyways, so this was there was a stand. Barack Obama has always campaigned, and he was for this adding common sense to the guns. And can you imagine the strongest person, or you can say the most powerful person, he tried 17 times to apply or bring some common sense on this gun control thing, but you can imagine he failed. This indicates that there is a force that is behind this failure. Someone is not allowing to see any change in this status quo, and it is this gun lobby, right? People associated with this gun, they provide money to all these leaders, right? Something similar that we find in our country, right? It is a nexus, and they do lobby. They heavily place this the marketing and advertisement, and psychologically creating a demand, or creating fear in people that if you don't have gun, then you are not safe, and things like that. So there are on different levels they work. So, and you have the Second Amendment, to be more precise. When we talk about this Constitution of USA, they have this Second Amendment which allows them to have gun. So again, hats off to all these kids, teenagers who are out there in the street, but this gun lobby is so powerful. Now let's see what decision this Mr. Trump is taking on this thing. As far as we know about him, he is supporting this gun thing. He is not for this common sense. So let's wait. With this one, this is a very interesting article directly related with your exam, and you find this type of questions on these items every year. So this one is a very important article. I would recommend all of you to read and reread this article. Now it talks about this electoral reforms, and electoral reforms in the hands of politician is a classic example of a fox guarding the hen house. I have added a picture for you guys here. So it is like a fox guarding the hen house. This is what it is when we talk about electoral reforms done by politicians. Now, do you know that we have, or these political parties, they have found a magic glue? Yes, I'm not joking. I'm serious. They have found this magic glue, and this magic glue is whenever we talk about this electoral reforms, and when we say that political parties should come under Right to Information Act, political parties should present their books. Their books should be, when I say books, I mean to say their accounts, right, where they are getting money from and things like that. They should be out there in public. At that point of time, you even find this BJP and Congress, right? They become like best buddies, and this magic glue, right? With the help of this magic glue, they stick together, and they are against any sort of these changes. And we see Supreme Court taking stand most of the time, and Supreme Court's interventions are always welcome, because they have always added value. We talked about this thing, Nota, and the latest one is this disclosure obligation, which will cover not only candidates. Earlier on, the Supreme Court said that candidates should provide their assets, how much assets they have, and things like that. Now you have to provide source of your income, and not only that, not only your source of income, but your family members and your associates, right? They should also declare their source of income, their assets. So this is going to create a bit of problem for all those you can say corrupt, and if they are making money, and if they are not paying the due share, if the money coming in is not from ethical sources, then they are going to find a little bit of problem. Now, it also depends on the government, what type of laws we are creating on this thing. Anyways, so government contracts, even when this is most interesting part here, that government contracts where candidates or their associates have direct or indirect interest, that should be declared as well. So you can find out this nexus. You know it very well that if, for example, MLA, right, MLA, he or she will hand over this road contracts and other contracts either to their associates or family members, and then they open this construction company, and they are the ones who are making huge money out of it. So, and the principal stand taken by or principal basis of this intervention by Supreme Court and this stand of disclosure of their income is basically that voters have all the right to know about their candidates, right? It is the right of a voter, so that that voter can take an informed decision, an educated guess they can make that which candidate is going to properly represent us. This is the main principle that is working behind this decision taken by Supreme Court. So going to create a bit more trouble, and one thing one piece of information on, or you can say one area about which we don't have on which we don't have that much access, or information is not at all provided to us, you can say, or if we are, you can say, deprived. We are deprived in our country when it comes to information regarding party funding, right? Very important topic covered in this article here, party funding. Now, as per this Representation of Peoples Act 1951, right, section 29C1A, you have this, means you have these laws where you have to, these candidates have to declare their assets and source of income and things like that. Now, but when it comes to political party funding, right, most of the times they are, means there is nothing on them. They can political parties are arguing that we are organizations, so you cannot ask us for things. And so basically, for a very long period of time, these political parties, and when it comes to funding, right, we are talking about funding, their funding has always been in this gray area. And now there are, means if you go through different cases which are mentioned in this article, of course, one is pertaining to USA, and one is a case in India as well, in which it is clearly stated by the courts that see, when it comes to party funding and when it comes to elections, right, candidates, they get two types of you can say support from their party. The first one is this financial support, and the second one is setting of agenda. Now recently there was a talk on this electoral bonds as well, and I have delivered a special video lecture on this thing. And if you go through it, you will find there are many loopholes with this electoral bonds as well. I would recommend all of you to go through it. Very important for your understanding and for your preparation. So you might have heard about this stand or during 2017, not this year's but last year's budget, 2017-18's budget. At that point of time, finance minister said that we need to find out ways to sort out this party funding, because of which we find too much of corruption going on in our country and things like that. And he talked about, he said that Election Commission has recommended that 20,000. So at present what happens is that anything below 20,000 rupees you can give in cash. Anything above, you have to give it either check, digitization, or digital methods. And now we have introduced this government has been talking about this, and in fact you can buy these electoral bonds now from dedicated branches of SBI, and it was in news as well. We talked about this different denomination and how much you can buy, etc. So there is no limit on the money that you can give to a political party. The other thing is that now government is saying that anything above 2,000, right, you have to give it either via electoral bonds, check, or cash. But you know it very well that you can do thousands or millions of transactions worth rupees 1,999. So this cash thing is not going to help at all. All they have to do is they will recruit some more extra hands, and they will do multiple entries, good CA supporting them, and that's it. So this is a gray area that needs to be sorted out in our country. And you know this, when agenda is provided by your party, you cannot go against your party, because you have strict anti-defection law as well in our country. An elected legislature, just in case if he or she is going against the agenda of the party, then that person can be disqualified in our country. So this is how parties, right, keep control on their politicians, right. Many times you have this nexus too, that if you are making some money from your contract source, say for example, if from legitimate or illegitimate source, it doesn't matter. You have to you are been given with targets that this much money you should supply to the party, and so political party funding is something that should be out as well, right. This is a very important bit here. Just keeping an eye on politicians will not help. We need to see the books of political parties as well, if we want to see our politics clean. This one is about the politics of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, when we hear this term, most of the time we feel we are talking about this you know, imaginary or fantasy, out of the world sort of things, that robots taking or walking around everywhere. We have seen this in many Hollywood and nowadays in Indian films as well. But it is more about machine learning, and there are arguments that this machines or AI will take over us and we will become their slaves and things like that. Yes, they are good in, say for example, medical diagnosis and facial recognition and other things, but it is impossible as far as this article is concerned. We don't know anything about future, but it is nearly impossible for this artificial intelligence to compete this evolutionary changes that have taken place in our mind for millions and millions of years. So I don't know, right. It is about future. If they will take over us, then we don't know. And so far what we know, the latest, or you can say the most advanced thing on this planet Earth, and as far as I know, is human brain, right. The human brain is the most advanced in the world. So the example is see around yourself what we have created. And I'm sure many of you might have watched this movie called Lucy, a very, very, very nice movie, Lucy. If you have not, then I would reckon when you find time, do go through this movie. Very good one. Anyways, so what used to happen earlier on, and what will happen now, and what is going on now, and what is going to be the future. Now you have these big companies, right, Amazon and other giants, Facebook and Google and other companies. They have invested heavily in this artificial intelligence, and this indicates that this is going to be the future. The money or the profit that these companies will make is going to come from this artificial intelligence. And the best thing, or a very good example that we have in our hand, is this Capitalism that started in 1970s. Now if you don't know what this is all about, I have kept a blank page here for all of you, so that I can give you an idea about this thing. Now capitalism is basically, you know, you have money, say for example, and now you are in USA, and we are talking about 1970s, right? So you are in USA, you have money, and you think that you want to increase your profit. Your market or your area is saturated, you cannot make anything more. So what you will do, you will invest in different countries. You will bring this capital, and then you will bribe governments in developing countries, purchase land at cheaper rate, right? You will get access to their natural resources. You will get cheap labor as well, and then you will produce this product, products, right? And these products, you would be able to sell it in different parts of the world. So this is what globalization, right? When we say this capitalism phase or capitalism, right, then important bit is globalization. You have in fact two things here. You have this globalization and you have this financialization. So two things. Basic idea is this capitalism, and in 1970s, when I told you that, imagine that your market is saturated and then you go out. So this provided a kick, right? So because of this international or globalization, this company started making money. But the demand, then comes a time when demand of there is a rise in demand, but people are not having that much money. So these big businesses, they decided to provide finance, right? They provide you with credit cards and they will give you loans. So this was also pushing this demands up, and because of this, these companies were making huge amount of money. Again, things started falling a little bit down, and then in 1990s, late 90s, we got this digital touch, right? Digitization started picking up, and again it boosted this globalization as well as this financialization. And now we have reached an era where this point, or this is, means this tactic is getting saturated as well, isn't it? So I hope this thing is clear to you. And when I said digitization, the good example is this Uber, right? Uber taxis. See how they don't own any car, right? They, in their assets, you don't find any cars. You don't find they have recruited any, you can say, vehicle drivers, right? They don't recruit drivers. What they are doing, or what they have, is basically they have this data, right? They have these algorithms as well. They know how to use this data, right? And they know how to make the most out of this data, and they have this algorithm set up and things like that, and they are making money out of it. So they have proved that data is the new oil in this era. And now this big companies, when we are talking about this big giants, they have invested, or they have started investing in this artificial intelligence, is basically they are going to make huge amount of money in near future or in forthcoming future. Now, you know, I'm sure we all are reading newspapers, so we find advertisement on newspapers, and I'm sure we all are using internet, and you find advertisements on internet as well. And generally, I believe you would be aware about this thing, that people make money from advertisement and things like that online as well. Now, the thing is, there was a time when this content creators, right? Content creators means these newspapers, right? Newspapers and your magazines, they used to make money because they placed advertisement. There was a bracket or space for advertisement. But nowadays, their share is falling down. It is this big companies like Facebook and Google. They are making huge amount of money and from this advertisement. And the thing is, they are not content creators. They are just providing a sort of platform. Something that we can relate this thing with is this oil rigs, right? You might have seen this offshore oil rigs. You have this in middle of your sea or ocean, wherever you find oil. And then once you create this platform for a very long period of time, you can take out this juice or oil from this earth. So in the same way, they have created this this Facebook and Google. They have created this platform, and then all of us, whenever we write something or we share a picture and things like that, we are in fact pushing this wheel, or this wheel comes in motion, and then you have these advertisers. They are placing their advertisement because they know that people are going to be online. So in this way, by just providing platform, they are making huge amount of money. And the thing is, these content creators, right, they are not able to make, they are making money, but when you compare it with FB and Google, the money is peanuts. So this is the thing that these big companies are doing. And in near future, we may find these big companies providing us artificial intelligence services, and they will charge. This is not going to be free. They will make huge amount of money from it. And how this AI is going to work? It is going to work from the data that they have collected from us. So basically, every one of us is a content creator, but the money is being made by these big companies. So what we need laws that will protect content creators. We have to or these companies should provide, if they have used my information or your information, personal data, for producing something, then they should compensate us. This is what this article is all about. And it also talks about this other India. The government of India has at present has got huge amount of data, but here couple of days ago we talked about this thing, that just having data is not going to be enough, right? You need to have this you have to sort this data out as well. Just having too much of data is just like you having a huge amount of rubbish, right? It is not going to be of any use. So this is another thing that we have to keep in our mind. With this, that's everything that we have got. Now I have some news items for you guys here. This is an allegation, or you can say a new thing has came out from this Delhi, right? Delhi's chief secretary has said that one MLA has tried, or in fact has assaulted Delhi's chief secretary. So this is going to be a big thing. FIR has been registered. This one is about coal mining. As you know that I reckon you guys to go through these articles. Do read all these articles, right? I'm just providing you the important gist of this thing. This one is about coal mining open for private sector. Now foreign companies as well as private companies of our country, they can take part in this coal mining. And CCEA, that is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, has approved this methodology of auction of coal mines. And as you can see, coal even today is a big player when it comes to power generation in our country. Keep the name of this tribe in your mind. This tribe is called Ahikuntaka, right? Ahikuntaka tribe. Basically they are from Andhra Pradesh. Still, right, research is going on. I'm not saying that they are from Andhra Pradesh, but the thing is that they are speaking Telugu and they live in Sri Lanka. So research is going on that how this thing is possible, and their main job is profession is this snake charming in Sri Lanka. So many times you find this sort of questions, so keep this thing in mind. Canadian Prime Minister is here. You know that we are not paying that much attention because of this Khalistan issue we talked about, and Canada's Minister for Infrastructure and Communities spoke about this Smart City Challenge. He's basically born and bred here in India. Then he migrated to Canada in 1981. At present, he is Canada's Minister, and he talked about Smart City and how Canada can help us. And then you find this radical, you can say, a group that is called Dal Khalsa, and they have alleged that the government is playing around and not paying too much attention because the government of India does not care about the rights of people and things like that. So this sort of statements are surfacing at present. This one is about a meeting that took place between our Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and former this Maldives President Mohammad Nasheed. And our defense minister, she has clarified that this was just a, you can say, a luck by chance encounter. We have not held any sort of discussion on Maldives. It was just we bumped into each other, that's it. So this sort of clarification, but you know it very well that this is how it works, right? Rather than me passing comment on this thing, let some things that are covered, let it be covered for the benefit of our nation. And you can see China deploys a warship in Indian Ocean, right? Blue 2018A, and this is taking place. This is the reason why I have placed this Maldives news. This practice is going on in East Indian Ocean and for a week or so. So what China is going to do here? Crisis deepens in Venezuela. This country, inflation is high, and then you have other problems as well. Basic contraceptive pills are not available. If they are available, they are too expensive, and other medicines and other things, right? So people are basically leaving this country, and it is in deep problem. This one is about Arun Jaitley. He has said that it is not the government. You cannot blame everything on the government. Government provided enough autonomy to these banks, and it is their management staff who have failed, and because of them this fraud and these defaults are taking place. This is of course said by our Jaitley Saab. And then we have this gift of nature for olive ridley turtle. This is important in terms of your geography, so keep this thing that sea waves and winds have widened a portion of beach near Rushikulya Rukri, that is in Odisha, where you find these olive ridley turtles coming here every year. And last item is about this Chhattisgarh and Odisha in dispute over water sharing. This is pertaining to this Mahanadi tribunal, right, to be set up. Central government gives its green signal to it, and I would recommend you guys to check out special video lectures on this thing. You will find it on our YouTube channel. And I have a question as well pertaining to this topic, because I strongly sense that this you will find at least one question on this thing in the upcoming mains examination. So water disputes, you know, they are increasing in our country. Discuss why these things are happening and how can we solve this issue of water in our country. If you want, go through special video lectures. They will help you, and then you can provide your answer, or if you know about it, then I would be eagerly waiting. I have gone through your answers, and I must say, I must ask, where was this talent hidden, right? So beautiful answers are coming from all of you guys, so keep it up, right? Keep it up. Do add value and content, and this will help all of you. So I believe that we are on a right track, and all of you are ready to utilize this platform. That's everything that we have got here, dear friends. I will see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.